Hello, I'm Franklin. Welcome to Frank's Philosophy, the space where we rethink and redefine what we think we know, and embark on a journey of soul searching in order to better understand ourselves and gain deeper insights into the world around us. Today, I'll start with a mention of a famous fable that perhaps many of us are already familiar with, the frog and the well, which is also a saying itself that describes a widespread phenomenon wherein people think they already know it all based on personal experience while displaying a dismissive attitude towards others' opinions. Just as told in the tale that the frog inside the well only sees the vast sky through the limited opening of the well and thinks that limited sight is the whole sky. As such, in our world, many are conservative, being averse to change and different ideas without reason, simply because they are convinced their knowledge is enough. On the individual level, of all those whom I have met and been around with in my life, many of them seem to be very certain about what they know, like dead certain, and that they are fixed on what they know and think there is nothing more to it. I always questioned this kind of assumption as a kid, then later realized that to any given problem, the number of possible methods and solutions depends on each individual. There is no one correct way regarding, say, how to tie your shoes, how to do chores, how to cook, how to dress, how to learn something, etc. The point is, do you possess enough creativity and resources to figure out better solutions and methods? On a social level, conservative knowledge is deep-rooted in our survival mechanisms. Let's take a look at human life in pre-civilization times. Our ancestors had to rely on traditional knowledge, which was experience passed down from many previous generations because it provided well-selected and time-tested frameworks to quickly identify and solve the most common problems encountered in the wild, ensuring survival. Besides, teamwork was what defined us from the early days of our kind, because unity was what kept our species alive and strong against natural threats such as predators. The context of survival explains why we as humans tend to conform in one way or another to maintain uniformity, which equates to the fact that we will come together as one more easily should we ever have to deal with a common threat that could potentially wipe us out of existence. This uniformity further consolidates society into the formation of a collective identity with an ego, which is represented by social norms that act as the means to mold and suppress any individuals who significantly diverge from the commonalities. Conservative knowledge on a social scale is extremely dangerous, as it rots away the dynamics needed for societal growth, which comes from new ideas, inventions, and discoveries to generate new values in response to a wide range of external stimuli. The development and maintenance of a society follows the exact principle of the human body's immune system in that our immunity becomes reinforced whenever it comes into contact with foreign visitors such as new bacteria and viruses, which prompt the production of antibodies to make our bodies stronger. That's how life on Earth evolves and advances with every new adaptation. A clear example of societal decline and fall caused by closed-mindedness is the case of Asian feudal societies, except Japan, that succumbed to the more technologically advanced Western forces in the 19th and 20th centuries due to having been ideologically stagnant for too long, that no growth could take place. So by the time the European powers arrived, Asia was already in a state of backwardness of catastrophic proportions. Conversely, Japan was the only exception because it soon opened itself to change and new ideas, importing intellectual achievements from the West early on, transforming itself into the first Asian dragon of the new age that was strong and prosperous, laying the crucial foundation for its future development. An organism is dead when all of its functions have ceased. Likewise, a society is as good as dead when it has stopped generating new values. Once people have become self-satisfied about their knowledge, it's when they think that's all there is to this world. To be fair, we are all a frog in our own well. What makes a difference is the attitude. Will we listen to learn, or will we shut our ears and snap back instantly whenever possible? Many people think what they know is everything, and don't bother to learn more. This can be resolved with education, but what kind of education? An education predicated on the simple act of passing information will never work, but one that's aimed at stimulating learners to practically think and work things out on their own would have a higher chance for success. However, anything can have exceptions. There are and always will be individuals whose mentality is rather set in stone, who will immediately reject anything that sounds unfit to them. In this case, perhaps no good education would make a difference, except for maybe a life-changing event happening to them, which may make them rethink what they have known. Learning does not take us out of our well. Constant learning does, because the well is not external to us, but from within. It's our mentality. The moment we become rigidified and fixed with what we know, and welcoming of new elements without a reasonable basis, is the moment our well is formed. There is no end to the quest for knowledge. The better informed we become, the better we see how superficial we used to be. We are warped in our own reality with all kinds of biases and prejudice, and then we cast that reality on the world around us, inadvertently forcing our subjective views on the objective world. This is known in psychology as projection. Projection is not necessarily exclusive to anyone or any group of people. On the contrary, it's very common in daily life, and we all make projections to some degree. Now, if you do some research on the subject, you can find a lot of academic literature, but to put it in simple terms, psychological projection is literally understand people and things in our own way, or to see them as we are, not as they are. It means we apply our own subjective layers of interpretation to an object, event, or phenomenon. In other words, to project to assume with our own feelings, thoughts, and beliefs, which will greatly define what kind of actions we will take and how they will be carried out. For elaboration, let's say I'm afraid of public speaking as I have feelings of anxiety and turmoil going on inside. Whenever I'm asked to deliver a speech on stage for some necessary reason, and I'd assume that other people would just be like this, going through the exact feelings that I do, which is a possibility. But first and foremost, before considering whether it's true or false, such a thought of mine is purely an assumption. Another example is a mother may show her love to her children by being overprotective, giving them what they want and never saying or doing anything strict to them, because she thinks that's how love is supposed to be. Whereas a father would suppose otherwise, and he would be hard on his children from time to time because he believes tough love is what teaches youngsters to grow up into decent human beings. These examples demonstrate that different thoughts and beliefs lead to different projections, resulting in actions which are subject to a wide range of possible outcomes that can either be positive or negative. But only time can tell, and reality itself will disclose the truth. That's why taking a regular reality check should prevent us from going astray, becoming delusional, and detached from reality with what we think we know. Psychological projection is always subjective, which is totally normal, because it's inevitable, owing to the fact that the data of reality have to go through our brain's processing to be rendered into the very sensory experiences that we have. But what makes projections a problem is when people are overconfident with their own assumptions without bothering to do a quick fact check. Regardless, psychological projection can be both beneficial and detrimental. First of all, projection serves as the basis for our reasoning. To avoid the problems we haven't solved, the theories we haven't proven, the statements and events we haven't confirmed, everything is merely an assumption, and we all make decisions based on the if-then clause. To have an opinion on a subject leads to the attitude and action we will take. Without this structure, we cannot interpret the world around us. Also, projection helps us narrow down information for faster decision-making. Making assumptions falls under the fast-thinking system, an official concept by Daniel Kahneman in his 2011 bestseller Thinking Fast and Slow, which is a primal survival mechanism that uses heuristics, or cognitive shortcuts, to quickly respond to threats. It's the source of our instinctive responses, which are automatic and thus do not require much time and energy for information pickup and processing. And that is its advantage. Our instincts will perform as designed to keep us alive in life or death situations, and they have proved to be quite reliable and effective in those split seconds. As such, psychological projection becomes understandable. Making assumptions is extremely convenient and efficient in terms of instant and pragmatic results, in that it helps us narrow down our focus for information selection and processing, equating to less data coverage and more concentrated processing power for better output. On the other hand, fast tracks are error-prone in the long run, as we predominantly operate on our fast-thinking system. We tend to favor short-term results because pre-modern human life hinged on immediate decisions and actions suited for specific survival scenarios, like confronting predators or getting the stomach filled to have enough energy for another day, rather than having to worry about overweight issues. In the same manner, it is simply about to not die and to have a good chance to produce the next generation. Hence, no need for planning anything beforehand, nor doing things that would, say, benefit us in 5 years instead of now. It is mostly the act now or die mentality ingrained in us to this day. This evolutionary trait translates to what we commonly know as instant gratification, referred to as the pleasure principle in psychology. Instant gratification is our tendency to seek immediate pleasure and avoid pain. This tendency pushes us to behave in ways that are fit for short-term gains. It drives us towards quick decisions and conclusions that satisfy instant needs and cravings. The fact that it's not uncommon for us to make baseless assumptions aligns perfectly with that orientation for immediate rewards, and in this way we can keep all the information that we receive simple and straightforward, at the expense of truth itself, which means instead of learning to make better decisions so you can avoid the mistakes you made, you choose to operate on instincts and act emotionally, only to repeat history one day. Examples for this problem are many, such as young, healthy people in their 20s who are lazy and don't want to work and end up in jail for robbery, theft, or other criminal offenses, who instead could just get a simple job to make a living when they're broke. Illegal activities are generally a fast slate to big bucks, and while the consequences are huge, they're thrown out of the window because many people are too blinded by greed that they only want the fastest route to success, fame, personal freedom, luxury, etc. Another positive aspect of projection is that it forms the basis of our empathy. In psychoanalysis, projection can help people be more empathetic, as it deciphers another person's subjective feelings through personal experiences. You may not always pinpoint the exact feelings that someone has, but nonetheless is a pathway to human connection. The prerequisite for this, however, is that you must be patient enough, be capable of listening, and that you have had a considerable diversity of experiences in your life. The more experiences you have, the more human you become. Because a person born and raised in a wealthy family having never had to do any heavy physical labor or demanding work, who has pretty much everything served right on the spot without lifting a finger, would hardly be able to understand the struggle of someone born in a slum who has to fight for his life every day under extreme poverty. Naturally, we all project, but the effect of our projection depends on our open-mindedness. If you're open enough, you'll gradually see that most people around you are wrapped up in their own reality. The more close-minded a person is, the more limited their own world is. And the more limited their world is, the less they can understand others. The fact that we grow up, go out, and experience new things at different stages of our life is the act of our learning to close the gaps of differences between ourselves and others. As explained, how projection can form the basis of empathy. It can only happen when you are open enough to listen, not to jump to conclusions and judge. The more you experience this world, the more people you will be able to relate to, because once you have had enough experiences, you will understand the intricacies in people's emotions under different conditions and circumstances, the good and the bad times, the values people have that they may share with others, their dreams and cherished memories, etc. Let's have a look at the following factors. 1. Good intent, a willingness to offer positive values to others despite personal limitations. 2. Listening, the willingness to have a conversation, not to argue, but to understand others. 3. Patience, the ability to keep yourself calm, unflinching, and unagitated no matter the conditions. 4. Emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and spot the subtleties in human feelings. 5. Logic and reasoning, the ability to see the link between two non-consecutive events with clarity via step-by-step event chaining. 6. Imagination, the ability to visualize abstract, intangible entities such as thoughts and feelings. 7. Associative learning, the ability to connect the dots, gradually arriving at the big picture. 8. Intuition, the ability to grasp others' emotions without detailed reasoning. And finally, 9. Experience. Nothing beats first-hand experiences because that's how we get in touch with reality to understand the world around us in depth. In general, we all possess these qualities naturally at various levels, differing from person to person. And we all have to take a certain amount of time and effort to cultivate them. The process won't be the same for everyone because, 1, we're not exact clones of one another, and 2, not all of us share the same or similar nurturing environment. The conditions and circumstances we encounter will change at different stages of our life. There will always be marginal differences. Only when you have cultivated all said traits to a high level will you acquire a transcendent empathy. Otherwise, your ability to empathize will be quite limited and lean more towards quick subjective conclusions. To be truly empathetic with many different types of people is indeed a challenging feat, but nonetheless, I'm not advocating becoming a sympathizer toward everything. Because simply put, there are always people who take advantage of others' kindness just to reap selfish interests without regard to the harm they may cause. These are the people we should not tolerate. Cultivate yourself in a way that you can either be soft or hard in your approach when need be. Be gentle with decent people and those who are collaborative or willing to join hands to build a better community. Conversely, be tough, decisive, and assertive with those who harbor malicious intent, who intentionally stomp on others' feelings when in authority, but do a better job than a beggar when exposed and overpowered just so they can survive the situation, then go back to their old, same twisted ways of things. Alright, that's it for today. But before leaving, here's a quick recap. This discussion is to serve as a reminder that learning is a continuous process. There's no end. We should not assume we know everything, whether it be in personal or professional life, because there can always be hidden corners and angles of things we can't see yet that make our evaluation of a subject, a problem, or situation incomplete. And this can lead to disastrous outcomes because of ill decisions based on insufficient information. Lastly, having understood the phenomenon of psychological projection, now you're aware, so capitalize on it to develop compassion, a quality that makes us uniquely human. Travel more, experience more, to learn more. The more you keep learning with an open mind, the more you will be able to connect with people. Thank you all, my dear audience, for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and find it insightful or valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with others to spread the message. And don't hesitate to express your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to respond ASAP. Until next time.